Let me pull up this story from John Nicosia. Source, Stelter is down to weeks, if not days, left at CNN. They go on, he is everything that reminds the new owners of the Zucker era they desperately want to get past. They continue. Management is confident Stelter is the one sharing the internal pushback to fellow media reporters while simultaneously stirring discontent within the ranks. Looks like we've got some more here. He said at 1:49 p.m. February 2nd, 2022. I'm sorry, February 2nd, 2022. Two sources, former CNN Zucker's girlfriend Alison Gollust will not be staying on with the network once dust settles. And then he publishes on February 20th, she resigns. So he's basically saying he was right then. Brian Stelter may be on the way out at CNN. I bring him up along with this Taylor Lorenz story because, like I mentioned, I'm just going to say it again. There is a big picture of Luke Rutkowski in the middle of Times Square on one of the biggest billboards. How is that for winning and pushing back on the elites and telling them that we are taking these spaces? To see these people getting the boot, to see their credibility in the gutter, it's a good day.
Daily Wire had a story on that article, and I think your tweet response to this was in there, and I noticed mine was as well because I got a Google alert. There's a part of me, I genuinely feel bad for Stelter. Stelter. I genuinely feel bad for him to some extent, but he has demonstrated actual malice. He demonstrated malice with that kid who asked him the question recently at
the high school kid.
The high school kid. He was. I feel terrible. He came on the show for an interview. I won't remember his name. Puts on a smiley face. Oh yeah, we really have to work better on this as the media, and then gives him the cold shoulder when the cameras aren't running. They're liars, but. My analogy was that it comes from real life experience. In our country place, my parents' cottage, we had a mouse problem, and we put out a bucket a bucket with some bird seed in it, and a way for the mice to get up. They got up, they fell in, they didn't get back out. They were all happy until they ran out of food. Then they started eating each other.
Oh,
literally. So this is
I see where you're going.
This is like mice in a bucket. They'll play with each other when there's enough food to eat, and then when the food starts going short, they literally start eating each other. No honor among scoundrels, and it couldn't happen to a better industry.
Yeah, man. I gotta say, I agree. We're watching the downward spiral, man.
Yeah,
independent media is going to take over. It is taking over. The stuff I see in the background of what's happening, people from these types of organizations coming to us, wanting to go the independent route. This is the world is changing, and a lot of these organizations don't see it quite yet. But there are some individuals in some of these organizations that do, and they're starting to reach out. And this is something that's going to, I think, accelerate a lot in the next 6 months to a year. Especially over the next 2-3 years. Yeah, independent media will take over.
I definitely
it's inevitable.
I definitely agree with you because the more they try to suppress the truth, the more they promote the truth tellers.
But it's even talent at these organizations that are starting to realize this, and they're starting to realize they're restricted, and they want to have a show like Tim's. It's happening.
Well, in 3 years, I'm gonna be. It's gonna be Wednesday. It's going to be Thursday at 9 a.m. And I'm going to be like, hey, Luke, that Thor 6 is coming out. Do you want to go catch it over at the local AMC? And Luke's going to be like, oh, okay, we'll catch that Thursday preview. And we're going to show up. We're going to walk up to the counter to get some snow caps. And Brian Stubbs is going to turn around and be like, would you like anything else with that?
He'll be fine. He made a lot of money. The one thing is Chris probably had no idea 10 years ago when you started Rumble. You for the next 5 years are going to be number one target because you're starting something which is going to be the platform for the independent voices who are being snuffed out, pushed out, and censored on what had hitherto been the free speech platforms. So, are you up for the battle?
I better be. Well, that's I love what I do. I love this space, and I really strongly believe in it. So, absolutely.
Did you guys see that smear piece about Florida? Like the far right is moving to
which
Florida.
one?
Oh, yeah. I've seen a few of
They're
those.
all smear pieces.
Like every week there's one, I think.
I just typed in Brian Stelter into a Brave search, and one of the articles that comes up is from the New York Post talking about how his reliable sources, first of all, why would you name a show like that when you're such a propagandist? But
that's why.
But it's titled Reliable Sources on CNN Draws Lowest Ratings Since 2019. So they're feeling it. I mean, it's not popular.
He got 73,000 viewers in the key demographic. Oof. That's how many views I get when I post a video of chickens outside.
Tim, you had 40,000 people watching an empty studio for 2.5 hours last week. I mean, and and generating revenue while it happens. I mean, it's nuts. People want to support quality. The people who can't succeed on a merit-based system want to suppress that quality.
Exactly. The people at these big journalist outlets, they have no merit, they have no talent. And so they rely on this gigantic foundation of a 100-year-old institution or institutions so that they can they can be let in the front door, take the elevator to the top, and then scream their garbage opinions at the world. For the rest of us that have built up our own followings and done the hard work over time, it's because we've said things that have been insightful, we've challenged, we've been brave, or we've just done the hard work. And over a long enough period of time, that results in a following that's merit they could never earn, and they despise us for it.
Well, think about it. You know, collectively, you guys have more members on your own subscription stuff than CNN Plus put together with $300 million of investment.
That was horrifying.
Like, think about that. That's insane.
I did a live stream with Nate Brody, another YouTube lawyer of the LawTube, about the Jan 6 hearings. And I'm pulling up articles, publications, don't want to get anyone in trouble on this, but relating to previous reporting by CNN, NPR, about issues with machines. Leaving it at that. CNN had a video from 10 years ago. It had 1,400 views on it. Wow. And this is CNN with, they have millions. 1,400 views. And their stuff now, there's a reason why they turn off comments. There's a reason why they don't let you see the thumbs up. Well, that was YouTube, but
that's the reason why YouTube did that.
There's no question. This to protect the weak and punish the strong.
Well, the saying goes that any sufficiently unmoderated platform will become right-wing. But the idea is that the right probably has a tendency towards meritocracy because the people who are strong enough to lead end up doing it. Their view of it is, the people at Twitter have said this, they need to create the health of the conversation, like you were mentioning earlier. So they view themselves as stewards of fairness. It doesn't work. You can't cut off the tall grass, sacrifice those who do the hard work, and then prop up people who don't. And that's what they've been doing, and it doesn't work. It's creating all of these problems.
I would flip the expression. I appreciate the expression, but I wouldn't say anything left to its own or free speech tends to turn right wing. I would just say that those who tend to fail on their own merits try to restrict the rules. So nothing changes in the essence except for the Overton's window shifts to the left. So what was center looks like it was right wing, but no, freedom of speech tends to go right wing, not so much. It's that those who don't succeed with their speech try to suppress the speech of those who do.
Yeah, and I would say in the last 3-4 months, we've seen a lot of people on the left, perceived left, come to Rumble that you wouldn't typically have thought would have came. Like activists, for example, Susan Sarandon tweeting Rumble. Like, what? That actually happened? She's on the left, I thought, right? So you're starting to see this kind of this free speech thing happen on all angles now. It's not just happening with one defined group, but many different groups.
Well, it's why
gaming, whatever it may be, any category. It's happening across the spectrum, and it's getting really aggressive and worse.
Well, it's why the Young Turks, are now being critical of independent left creators. They grew up as being the Bernie Sanders, anti-Obama, voice of the progressive left that the institutional media wasn't covering. Then they transitioned into Trump hatred, and then they transitioned into being sort of corporate establishment media that they themselves used to be critical of. Have to rely on donations from corporate and big, billionaire sugar daddies on the left. And consequently, their support is shrinking and shrinking and shrinking because they're no longer organic or authentic or independent. There's people on the left that could build a huge independent market spectrum like Tulsi Gabbard, like Glenn Greenwald, like Aaron Monte, like Max Blumenthal, son of City Blumenthal, like the Gray Zone, if they continue to do independent information that's reliable and trustworthy, even though it comes from a left perspective. The thirst and the hunger is for independent, honest, authentic information.
Exactly.
Yeah, Kyle Kalinske and Crystal Ball, I think, are fantastic.
Well, there's the no true Scotsman thing about this is that left-wing voices who want to succeed, they move to Rumble. But the second you do that, you become right-wing. So Tulsi Gabbard goes to Rumble, right-wing. Russell Brand goes to Rumble, right-wing. Jimmy Dore goes to Rumble, right-wing. And so
Jimmy Dore is a socialist, isn't he?
He's the guy who spat on Alex Jones at the 2016 convention.
We were there. Me and Tim were in the room as it was happening.
Well, that's assault, brother. That's
it technically was. But Glenn Greenwald, when you call the gay liberal who's very critical of Bolsonaro in Brazil, and the guy who helped break probably more investigative journalistic stories than any individual reporter in the last decade, you call him right wing. It shows that they have a fallback position.
They called Fast Company an article saying, beware right wing comedy from Joe Rogan to the Babylon Bee, and it's like
what?
Okay, I'll take it, I guess. Look,
It becomes circular definitional. Veer away, you're right wing. Even if you're as left as Russell Brand and Tulsi Gabbard, you veer, you're right, and that's it.
Joe Rogan goes on his show and says universal basic income, which is very, very left. And like, yeah, he's right wing.
I mean,
okay, dude.
His favorite candidate was between Bernie Sanders and Tulsi Gabbard. I mean, he's been consistently on the left. But I think it's just self-discrediting. Like I said, when you get to the point where you're calling Johnny Depp supporters right wing, you have lost the narrative and you've lost institutional control.
When you're at the point where commenting on a Johnny Depp civil case means you're radicalized, you've lost the plot. And that's the corporate press at this point.
There were people on our respective communities, Robert Barnes and I, they didn't care for Johnny Depp because of his anti-Trump statements, and call for violent statements. But when it comes to these types of things, the people who are independent thinkers can see beyond their own biases and just come to the conclusions based on the facts. And just anyone who agrees with Johnny Depp, right-wing, misogynist, even if they happen to be left-wing women, Thanks
for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast. And there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and we'll see you all there.